Welcome to Timeout. I'm Sean.
And I'm Alexis, and on this episode, we talk the NBA All-Star Weekend and a little baseball.
But first, we're switching things up a little bit. Today we have Live at 5 Sports host Pam Yap coming in to talk NHL trade deadline. Thanks for coming in, Pam.
You're welcome.
There were 15 trades on deadline day. No big-time players were moved. So was it a disappointment?
I think that it was a big disappointment. I think that it took probably 2 hours before the first trade was made. Trade deadline started at 8 o'clock. I don't think a trade was made before 10 o'clock. And even then, it was a very small trade. And I think the biggest disappointment was that Nash did not get moved. Everyone was expecting that he would get traded, and he is still a Columbus Blue Jacket.
About Rick Nash, where do the Columbus Blue Jackets go now that they know Nash wants out and him and his agent have said so?
I think that Columbus just couldn't get what they wanted for him. I know they definitely wanted a first-round pick and a top forward, and typically a lot of the teams who wanted Nash are not willing to give that up. I think that if he were to come to the Leafs, it would have been something like Schenn, Kadri, and Gardner, and I think all those three players just for Nash isn't worth it, especially Gardner. I think we can probably part with Schenn and Kadri, but not Gardner. So I think that a lot of teams just weren't willing to give up what Housen was asking for. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the Blue Jackets do, because supposedly Nash actually went above Housen and went straight to the team owners to let them know that he wanted out of Columbus. So he is obviously very unhappy, and it's going to be interesting to see how Columbus proceeds.
The Leafs made 2 deals, one of which being Keith Aulie moving to the Lightning for Carter Ashton. Can you tell us your thoughts on Ashton?
I don't think that it was a huge trade, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't really think that we're going to see its impact in the long run. I know that personally I tweeted that I think Ashton will go to the Marlies and probably never get called up, because we have a tendency to trade for players that you never see again. So I actually don't think that it was that big of a move. I think Ollie was great while he was here. He's huge and he's a fighter. So I think that maybe it was a better deal for Tampa, to be honest with you. But I don't think that it was a huge trade. I don't think it's going to affect us. I don't think it's going to impact our playoff run at all if we still have a bit of a playoff run going at this point. We're 3 points out of 8th, and it's getting really, really tight. So I don't think that it was a huge trade, to be honest with you.
The Leafs didn't get any help in goal or on the blue line. With 20 games left in the season, how will this affect the playoff push for the Leafs?
I don't know. I think that there are a lot of issues with our goaltending. I think that Reimer is not playing as confident as he used to, and Gustafsson obviously has no confidence. I think that the team is not confident in front of him either. And even though there was all of this hype around Nash, there were a lot of people who were saying the concentration should be on finding another goaltender, because clearly both of them are very shaky right now. And I don't know if it's totally goaltending. I mean, obviously goaltending is an issue, but I think that the team isn't scoring, and I think we have something like 20 games left, and there are a lot of teams that have a game in hand over us, and there's a lot of teams that are fighting for 8th right now. You know, Winnipeg and Florida are all trying to get that final spot. So I think goaltending is going to be really big, obviously, going down the stretch if the Leafs do want to make the playoffs, but I think scoring is a big issue as well, which is why a lot of people were saying that the Leafs really do need to try to acquire a forward if we want to make that push, and we didn't do that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team can go forth. Now that the pressure's off, maybe they will play a little bit better. I think that maybe a lot of them were gripping their sticks a little tighter heading off to trade deadline, but I think that maybe now the pressure's off and maybe they can relax a little bit and kind of start getting into a rhythm a little bit more.
Thanks for doing this, Pam.
We'll check back in with you if the Leafs make the playoffs.
No problem.
And now on to the NBA. Kobe Bryant had a very memorable All-Star weekend. He scored 27 points during the game, becoming the all-time All-Star game points getter with 271 points. Who did he pass? Michael Air Jordan, who had 262 points. However, that wasn't the only thing broken over the weekend. Kobe Bryant broke his nose after being fouled by Dwayne Wade. So, Sean, What's the bigger story?
I think the broken nose is I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. He kept playing and he was kind of chirping around, joking after it happened. So I don't think he was like, it was that bad of a broken nose. But you got to remember too, like as these All-Star games keep going on, I think Kobe's going to get surpassed in a few years by LeBron, and LeBron will then get passed by Kevin Durant, who's already in the 80s, and I think he's only been in 3 All-Star games so far. So I'm not sure the All-Star game total point record means what it used to mean.
I didn't think there was a record for points. I'm thinking that he kept score on that. I thought it cared more what was going on during the regular season. This record really means nothing for Kobe. It shouldn't really mean anything to Kobe to add on to his greatness. What should really matter is what he does in the playoffs and during the regular season.
Yeah, not sure either story is really that big a deal.
No. If it was someone else breaking his nose, then we'd care. Or at least on a dunk.
Yeah, or if he was like bleeding a lot, if it was a bad break. Like he broke the bridge of his nose, but it was just like, it was like a little cartilage shot, you know? A little stinger, no big deal. Well, after last week, the Timeout mailbox was full of positive feedback from our first Crossfire with Curtis segment. So, we're giving the fans what they want. Here's
Crossfire.
So with the Oscars this past weekend, are either of you sad that Moneyball didn't win any awards?
I'm a little sad. I liked that movie a lot, but it's not really surprising. I mean, it's not surprising, right? I mean,
No, it wasn't surprising at all. It's a great movie about baseball, but it stars Brad Pitt, who has a very Susan Lucci-esque track record when it comes to the Academy Awards.
Nice reference.
You're welcome.
Nice.
Plus, everyone fell in love with the artist. Who doesn't love a silent movie starring a adorable dog?
Toronto teams in general are too scared to pull the trigger, sign the big superstar players. Do you feel it's the same way with the Jays?
I think with Toronto teams, their concern is in the wrong place when it comes to their franchises. I don't feel that they're looking towards the future, trying to build a team to win championships. Isn't that the point of having a sports team, is to win championships and bring fans and revenue in?
Yeah, I think, however, I think Burke has the toughest GM job in Toronto, and maybe in Canada. There's a lot of pressure on him. But I like the way AA went about his business. I mean, signing Prince Fielder to an 8-year deal or whatever he ended up signing for is not a good deal. It's not going to be efficient for them in the long run when he's unable to play because he's 500 pounds. You know, they didn't get Darvish because they just didn't value him high enough. The Rangers did. I don't have a big problem with how the Jays went about their business in the offseason. I like that they got Santos, and I think they have enough young players right now that they are set up to compete for a championship. Maybe not this year or next year, but they will be down the road.
Brett Cecil, before the winter, weighed 250 pounds, and over winter went on a new diet, lost 38 pounds, and weighs somewhere around 214. How do you think that helps him, and what other Jays do you think could take a page out of his book?
Well, I think it helps him big time. You know, halfway through the year, he'll be carrying less weight around, less stress on his joints. Maybe he'll return to form to his rookie year where he put up 15 wins. Guys who could take after him would definitely be Jesse Litch. Get rid of his David Wellsian figure. Can you think of anybody else?
Not really, but I do smell an endorsement deal with Subway or Weight Watchers.
Jared, nice.
Why not? If Jason Alexander and Jared can do it, why not these guys?